Welcome to the Books and Martinis Podcast.
I'm Priya.
And I'm Mercy.
And this is your go-to book podcast,
where we lift, empower, and spotlight authors.
Grab your martini and follow along.
And don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to our podcast. I'm Priya.
And I'm Mercy. Hey, Priya, how are you today?
Good. How you doing?
I'm very, very good. Excited to be here because I happen to know our special guest. I've had the honor of meeting her, and I'm so super excited. I have her book right here, and I cannot wait to introduce you to Miss Beth Rammel.
Yes.
Beth, welcome.
Welcome,
Thank you.
Beth.
It's good to be here.
Welcome. Well,
I brought my own version here.
What is that? Is that your book?
Get
That's
out.
my album. That's my book cover.
Oh my God.
I
That is
love
so
it.
cool.
Anniversary present.
Oh my God. I love it.
Love
So
that. That's
you
so
guys,
cute.
you guys listening out there in podcast land or watching on YouTube, this is our latest installment of Books and Martinis.
Mhm.
And we are fangirling over
Yes.
Beth's book. So on the book, she's titled as E.C. Rammel, but you can call her Beth. She's mad cool.
Yeah.
She got a glass of wine on her right now. She owns a bookshop
Cheers,
in
Beth.
Tennessee. We're going to talk about her bookshop later on. And her book is called Dream for the Dead. Y'all, suspense. I'm using my Tennessee
joined us in
lingo.
Tennessee. I like that.
Tennessee lingo.
I love it.
Welcome,
Oh, I'm so
Beth.
excited you're here, Beth. I'm so excited and I'm so honored. And before I even give you a minute to speak, I just want to say how dear to my heart it is that you gave me this copy, and I'm putting it out there that this was your personal copy that you gifted your husband, who didn't read it on the time frame you gave him. And so as a punishment,
You just put him on the spot, Merce.
I did, I know, but you know, he had time to read it. Husbands
knows.
do that stuff. Yeah. So she wrote it when I went to her beautiful bookstore, which I took 1,000 pictures of and posted them on my Instagram. So if you go back, you'll see them there. And it says, Mercy, it was so nice speaking with you. I look forward to getting to know you better. Happy reading. E.C. Rammel, Beth. Look at that. Isn't that
That's
the
so
sweetest?
beautiful.
I know. I want to like rip it and then frame it, but I can't because it's a book. So I have to keep
That
it like
was-
it is.
That was a labor of love right there. So
Yes, it is.
Yeah, the
I love
cover's
it. I love it.
beautiful.
And I thank you. Time and time
Thank
again.
you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you how long it took him to notice it was gone.
Oh,
Man.
snap. Uh-oh.
How long? But
Somebody's
in
in
his
trouble.
defense, my husband doesn't read, and he doesn't like anything with supernatural elements to it.
Yeah, mine
After
either.
reading my first book, he started sleeping with a rosary under his pillow. He's like, can't even do
So
this.
he learned his
So
lesson.
He did.
Oh, how funny. Oh, how funny. I love that. So,
So-
tell us about you.
Okay. So I'm very young,
Yes.
under 50.
I love
Yes.
I've lived a lot of lives. I've been a deputy sheriff. I've been an English
Whoa.
teacher. I've been a personal trainer. I've been a radio DJ. I have
Wow.
2 kids.
What?
And, well, I don't know what I want to be when I grow up. I just want to write, and everything
I
else is just
see
like
that.
building my life resume, I guess.
I love
Um,
it.
But I have 2 kids, and my husband and I live with our kids and our dog above our bookstore, Meeting Street Books and Cafe. So it's a used bookstore with a coffee shop, and we have food, and
It
it's
sounds
just
like a
nice
book.
little get-together spot here in a very small town.
It's beautiful.
It is.
On the
and
lake.
We're in a historic building. It was built in 1840, and
Oh, that's so
It's
cool.
so beautiful.
so this is where we've settled. I've lived here, there, and everywhere, and whatnot. But I've lived where the story takes place, both places. So
I love it. I love it. Oh my gosh, I love it. And so this is a lot of our listeners are writers and or authors, but most of them want to become authors. And so a lot of the questions that we'll be asking you today have to do or will be for those listeners so that you can kind of walk us through your, the good, the bad, the ugly, the steps you took, what worked and what didn't work, and kind of inspire other writers. So the first question that I wanted to ask you was, what inspired you to write this particular book And or any other books? Have you written any books aside from this one?
So
I
that
believe
is
you told me
my
yes.
second book.
Okay, beautiful.
That's first in a series.
Okay.
I'm working on the sequel now, but it's my second book. This book took almost 4 years to write because I
Wow.
transitioned from one job to another. For those who are aspiring writers who want to be published, even self-published, it takes a lot of blood and grits, because you also have a full-time job and you have a life and you have to work that time in to write. And sometimes you go through months where you just don't. And but the point is that you want to do it so bad, you can't not do it. You have to.
Yes.
Like, you have to pick it back up because it's just eating at you in the back of your brain. So, it takes a long time. This book is a hodgepodge of where I was living at the time. The Whipple Company Store in the book is an actual coal company store. It is
Really?
haunted. I was on a ghost team that's in the book.
Okay.
Some of the characters are based on real people, some aren't. Some are. Sybil is fictional.
Okay.
But
Wait. So you mean you don't have her paranormal skills, right?
I investigated that store. I slept in the middle floor. I say slept. I investigated, but I fell asleep because it was pitch dark. The middle floor where they used to put the dead coal miners' coffins before the funeral home moved in. Yeah, because I was the youngest and I could climb up the pulley elevator. So I got that shift. Yeah. But
okay, wait,
we
wait,
investigated that store.
Okay. So I love you even more now because I'm obsessed with ghost hunting stories, ghost hunting shows. I watch them all the time.
Yes.
All right. So how old were you when you did this? Because you said you were the youngest. And
I
number
was
two,
in my early 20s.
how did you get into this? Yeah.
My mother got me into this. She was also on the team. I was in my early 20s. It was a group of her friends.
Yeah.
And I was the tag along. So my dad was the one who set up the equipment. He really would leave. That kind of thing terrified him. He's like, there's no such thing as ghosts, but there are demons and you're not bringing those home and blah, blah, blah. But he would go in, set up the equipment. He would listen to the audio for us afterward. They got me into it, but we had all the equipment. We had the big screens. We had the night vision cameras. We had the
Ghostbusters.
Yes.
Oh my God.
And it was so much fun. It was so much fun.
Okay.
And it was that
Priya's dying.
That wanting to look
need to know
and
more.
find something. I wanted to find something so desperately because I'm not Sybil. I don't have like feelers. I don't I don't have that connection to the paranormal, and I kind of want it. So I was hunting for it. It was fun. It was a fun time. And it was part of the inspiration for this book.
Wow.
I love that. I love that you took that part of your life and used it to inspire your book. Okay, I need to ask this question. So you got to share at least one story, one ghost hunting story.
Okay. All right. So we were in a man's home, and we thought, and we're still pretty sure that he had a poltergeist because this entity, like, we got reading drops and all the typical stuff. We didn't catch anything on camera. We caught a little bit more at the Whipple store, but he had an entity that would shove him downstairs and lock him in the basement.
What?
Yes.
Turned out
there was I know, we had another one where the house just felt really dark, and it turned out that one of the teenage children would play around with a Ouija board, which were like,
oh no.
I believe in the paranormal, and I believe in, good and evil, and
staying in your own boundaries.
But you don't know what you're walking into.
Yeah,
so my
you
mom
can't
would
mess around with the
holy
Ouija
water.
board. Nope.
My mom would always carry holy water, and she would wear this cross, which was my great grandmother's. She was the greatest prayer warrior I knew, and she would wear this cross, and she'd bring reinforcements. So, yeah.
Wow.
Was she Catholic?
No,
I
wasn't then either. So
no,
I am now. But
you technically don't need to be Catholic. You need to have that.
Well, just because she said the holy water, so I just
True.
Yeah,
Not like moon water if you're a pagan.
that's right. Yeah, it's a little
Died
different,
there.
but
So your life inspired Sybil Moon's character story and her skills, her special paranormal skills. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the story?
so this story follows Sybil Moon. It follows
Mhm.
two characters together. It follows two women. Sybil Moon, who is clairvoyant, she contracts through the FBI, mostly to help find missing persons when they're out of leads or it's time sensitive, because she's very good at what she does. She's very skilled, and she at times calls it a gift, at times calls it a curse. So we're following her story, and we first meet her going to a very brief case, because this story isn't about the case. It's about her interaction at the building owned by the other main character, who's Jasmine Richards,
Right.
who's separating from her husband. She's bought this beautiful, rundown, scary building in the corner of a like rundown neighborhood where a bunch of drug dealers live, and it's really what it's like. Um, and she
This is
starts
all taking place
experiencing
in
all
North
this stuff.
Carolina.
Hmm?
This is all happening in North Carolina.
This is in West Virginia.
Okay.
So Sybil's in North Carolina.
Okay.
Her brother lives in West Virginia. That's how she ends up at the Whipple Company Store.
Ah.
He's a history buff. He's an engineer at DuPont, and he wants to go to this building. And she's like, I can't, obviously. And he's like, oh, you'll be fine. Wear your gloves. You'll be okay. And that's not the truth. Like, something happens to her supernaturally that's never happened to her before. It's like amplified in there. Like, she
Mhm.
wakes something up, and it
Right.
comes home with her back to North
Right.
Carolina, which is how she ends up back in West Virginia. So we're interstate traveling. Ironic because she works for the FBI, but it's both women. It follows both women. So Jasmine's there with her very young baby, experiencing all this weird stuff, and it starts to manifest in the building. And she's researching the building because she's turning it into a museum. She hears all these stories, and some of these stories are true, or true stories for the building. Whether or not they really happen, I don't know.
Right.
But that's where I get that. There's a bit of historical fiction to it. So Sybil goes back, and because she has to deal with this, she has to figure out how to deal with this thing that has invaded her life and almost taken it. Yeah, Sybil has to come back to West Virginia to deal with, or to try to figure out what she's communicating with and how to get rid of it, because she's met this guy. That's a whole other part of the story.
Right.
He's dreamy, because they always are.
Of course.
Of course. And that's when she starts to see the backstory and what has happened up to this point to lead all of them to the apex of the story.
Hmm. And now we're not trying to give any spoilers.
Right. That's why
Yeah,
I'm
no.
trying to be careful how I explain.
Yes. Total spoiler
things.
alert.
Yeah.
Well,
my
we're that's what we're
God.
saying, that we're not going to give any spoilers for the story.
Yeah.
But we do have to ask, like, who is your favorite character in the book? So we know Sybil has her special powers, and then there's the other character. Like,
Yeah.
who is your favorite character in the book?
I mean, Sybil is my favorite. I have to say, though, and this is going to sound terrible, Fred is that guy we all kind of dream of.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like he's just
Mm-hmm.
he's that guy that's like,
a
he's got it all.
good,
He's got looks, he's
yes,
got the height, he has tattoos. That's obviously a big thing.
yes, and yes. And
So
I
I
was
tried
totally
to write
loving
him in a way
that.
that he would capture her, because she's a hard one to get. She's
Right.
she doesn't like to commit to people. She's afraid
She's
of
a she's a
she's
badass.
afraid
I don't
to
want
get
to.
close.
Yeah, I
But
don't want to
yeah,
talk about it.
Sybil
But
is my favorite. She's my
okay.
favorite. I think because she has, like, a part of me wants that gift that she has, which is
Aw.
why I was in the ghost hunting, and I
Mhm.
still, my cousin and I go out and we haunt cemeteries and old historical buildings that are dilapidated, because we're still kind of living in
So
that
cool.
dream. But
I love it.
yeah,
I-
Sybil, because I kind of like, part of me wants to be her. That part of me that was in law enforcement and wanted to
Mhm.
drive the fast car, and that same part of me, that sense of danger. I
Yes.
think, because
And I love how you incorporated real life into this book, and real personal passions and experiences that you've had, which makes it so much better.
it makes it easier to write. You have to put
Absolutely.
something of you in it. Even my
Mhm.
first book, I was drinking a lot of, not a lot, that makes me sound like too much because here I have my wine, but I was drinking a lot of scotch at the time. So my main
Okay.
character drank scotch. So
Okay.
you throw little tidbits of your life at the time because we're always evolving, so those tidbits can
Yes.
change. But it's
Absolutely.
important as a writer to make it personal.
And how was that process for you, the writing process? How did that work? Were you like disciplined, like every Monday through Friday you sat there and you wrote for 2 hours? Or did you not write for like a month and come back and then go crazy? And then how was your whole process?
I go through phases. Like right now, I'm in a writing phase. I'll get up really early to write. Right now, the store's open and it's 7, so I have to get up really early. But I try to get a couple hours in the mornings, at least 4 mornings a week. But like I said, when I would transition from one job to another, sometimes I go months without it. So I became an outliner, which is
Oh,
Okay.
handy and good advice for people who have to take time away from writing because sometimes you forget what you put in.
mm-hmm.
And you
Okay.
don't want to be repetitive. If you've been away for a few months, you don't want to say something because you know it's supposed to happen when you've already put it in there.
Yep.
Um,
Yep. I
So
don't know if you
tell us
noticed, but
what an out.
I have a messy wall here where I've outlined my
yes.
second book.
Yeah. It's
And I'm
important.
always like, huh, what did I say? You know.
That's important. I do it with note cards right now.
Yeah.
Um, my first screenplay was historical fiction based on the Knights Templar. So
What?
and this is what I did. This is what I was doing when my husband met me right out of college. I had a very long timeline I created, and it was color coded based
Ooh.
on the Knights Templar, the
Yeah.
French King, and the Pope. And they all had their own colors on their timeline to keep it all straight.
Yeah.
I had a big one on my bedroom wall, which was most of my apartment. And then
Yeah.
I had a smaller one that folded up that I could put in my bag.
I love it. I love
Because I
Wow.
that you
always,
wrote
I
a
always travel with a
screenplay.
notebook. Yeah.
I love that you have like you've unlocked all these bits and pieces about yourself in this interview. So you wrote a screenplay. So have you ever thought about who would play the characters in your
I
book?
did.
Who
So,
would play Sybil?
Yep.
so Sybil is hard because I see I don't really have a person for Sybil. Like maybe Zoe Saldana. Um,
Hmm.
I for my book,
She's gotta
I
be
didn't
tough.
envision anyone in particular. For my screenplays, I did. I had
Okay.
people and I had actors in mind. And I think because I completely created some of these characters and the ones that I didn't, I already know what they look like. My mother already said, if this turns into a film, I have to play myself. And I'm like, well,
Oh,
I don't have that kind of
Okay.
power, but okay.
Okay. I love it.
But yeah, I don't know
So
who would.
you wrote a book, then you wrote the screenplay, then you wrote this book
I wrote the
and
screenplays first.
oh,
plays,
screenplays. So you
as
have
in more than
multiple.
one.
I have two. I have two. One is an Irish vampire screenplay. One of the original legends they think Bram Stoker um used for Dracula. He's very, he's not sexy. He's not,
Yeah.
Right.
he's disgusting. He's dead.
Yeah.
I mean,
Mm.
really.
Okay.
There's a battle scene outside of his castle. It's set in Ireland. Like it has swords. I love things with swords.
I
Wow.
love it.
Okay.
Um, and then there's the Knights Templar. Those were my two screenplays. I wrote those years ago, and I haven't really done anything with them.
You never
It's not
know.
like a book where you can promote it yourself and just have
Hmm.
people read it. People don't just
Right.
read screenplays, and unless you get it
Right.
opted. Um,
Well, I know you could submit screenplays to agents. There's some agents,
you
literary
can,
agents that
you
accept
can,
them.
and I did. I submitted some, and this is the problem as an independent writer in general. All you really want to do is write. You don't want to do that stuff. Like
Right.
it's
Hmm.
time consuming. You feel like it takes away from what you want to be doing. And there's so many different, like every query letter is different to every agent because they all want something different and they all have, so you're, putting 5 chapters together on one document of your book here and you're putting, X number of pages on this one. And it's so time consuming. And after a little while, you just kind of drop the ball because you're like, most of them I don't even hear back from. So
Yeah.
I'm just going to keep writing and publish it myself. And that's
Yeah.
basically where I ended up with. And it helps to have your own bookstore,
Yes.
like
True. Very
90
true.
paperback copies. Yeah.
Yep.
Fantastic. And I know that you're such a giver to the community because you have so many different back-to-back events where you empower the community, the authors gatherings, you have your story time, you have the masquerade you mentioned,
Mhm.
book club. You have so many different things happening, which is so active to empower your community that are either writers or authors, or just book lovers in general.
Well, and that was part of the title for when we were trying to think of what we were going to do when we named the store. It's on Meeting Street. And we thought, well, we're just going to keep that because that's what we want it to be. We want people to meet here. We want
Mhm.
girlfriends to come in the morning and have their coffee and have a pastry or whatever and hang out for 2 hours and catch up
I love
or
that.
stop in on their way out shopping. We have book clubs that aren't mine that meet here. Um, all have so many author signings. It's become a local writer hub
I
here,
love
which is
that.
great. I love it. We have an author
Absolutely.
signing every Saturday this month.
That's
So,
fantastic.
and our writers group here is just phenomenal. And we're trying to put together a writers conference, a mystery writers conference. So
What?
all varieties of mysteries. So,
Mhm.
I mean, it's a very active community and it was really nice to plug in because,
And it's a
writers don't
beautiful
necessarily have
community,
friends that are readers. So
right? Because
it's
they're
nice
always
to have
writing on
your
their
group of
own.
people.
I love that. I
Yeah.
love that. What advice would you give a writer, um, when it comes to writing in general? You as an author, what would be your most important advice to
My
somebody that's
most
starting to write?
my most important advice is don't give in to the lie of writer's block. That's not true. You always have something to say. It might be off topic, but sometimes it's when you just let yourself go. I
Mhm.
mean, I write a lot on paper and then I edit to put it on the computer because I'm old. I like paper.
Me
Um,
too.
can't help it.
I
So
know.
whether you're writing on paper or typing, sometimes if you just really stop thinking and just let your fingers go, you'd be
Mhm.
amazed with what you come up with. And it may not
Absolutely.
even be material used now. It may be something you put in a folder for later. It's just don't just sit and be like, "Ah, I don't know what to write." Use that time and make that time. Like
Mhm.
I love
if you
that.
have to get away from it for a while, that's okay. Get back to it because if you're really a writer at heart, you can't help it.
Yes.
Do you use anything
Oh,
during like your times when you just have to walk away from the computer or for your pen and paper? Are you like are you doing a hike because you're in Tennessee? Are you drinking some coffee? Are you reading another book? What are you doing in between to fill the gap?
what's your escape? Mhm.
My
Hmm.
escape. I'm a big movie lover.
Or to get recharged to start writing
Yeah.
again.
I'm a movie lover and I
Mm.
love documentaries,
Yep. Sounds
which
like
is
Mercy.
that's
That's
how
me.
my sequel for Dream for the Dead came about because she's on a case here. This is about
Oh,
a case. She is finding a boy who escapes from a religious cult because I'm really into that right now. I'm watching
Love that.
documentaries right and left, reading stuff right and left. I'm a churchgoer, but how does someone get to that point that they really allow themselves to be brainwashed? Like, and then what happens when someone comes out of it, so to speak, and then they're trapped there? So that's what
mm,
happens. Um, but I love to watch stuff. And again, it's my mom. Everything is my mom's fault because, my love of reading comes from laying out on the back deck by the pool, lathered down in baby oil, getting a tan, reading adventure, um, romance novels. That's how I started. That's what I started reading. Victoria Holt. She was my jam.
yes.
Um, and movies the same way. A good story is a good story. I think that's why I kind of
Absolutely.
went back and forth between both mediums because it's all about stories. If you love stories, you love to hear good stories, you love to tell good stories.
Hmm.
Um, so for me, that's my escape because in my brain, I'm always thinking, what tidbit can I get here? What tidbit can I get there? So
Oh, I agree with you 100%. I find myself doing the same thing. sometimes I just stop. And then when I stop, I go directly to either watch a movie or a show.
Mhm.
And while I'm watching that, my mind's going a mile a minute inside, like, oh, I could use that, and I
Yes.
could say that, and I should change this, and I should change that.
Mhm.
So, oh, that's wonderful.
'Cause
You're
we're always
a
editing.
wealth of information. Yes.
Yeah,
Isn't that the
yeah.
truth?
And I love how versatile you are. Sheriff, writer, screenplay writer, ghost hunter,
Mom, wife,
mom,
business owner.
bookshop
I have
owner.
commitment issues. That's why.
But you know
I'm
what?
riding with
I
my
love
cousin in her car. I said it finally occurred to me. I have commitment issues. Like I've only been able to commit to God and my family. And
No,
aside from that, like I move everywhere. I change.
I love everything
Well,
you're doing.
change careers.
yes. So let's change the narrative then, because you
Okay.
got a very short life. We all have a very short life. We're here for 100 years if we're lucky, right? So what are we doing in that time? Why
Mhm.
not do as many things as you could possibly do?
And make sure
All
you do
those
something you love.
experiences.
And fun, have
Absolutely.
fun. Like
Yeah.
we are allowed to have fun and do all the things. So forget that old narrative. You're having
Yeah.
fun, girl.
I am.
I love it.
I'm
I
having
love it. I love it. I miss you, Beth. I really have to go
I
to
know
the
I miss you
bookstore.
too.
I'm
It's
gonna
been too long.
traveling. Maybe Priya gets excited or motivated and comes to visit us.
Yes.
Well,
and
you're
then I'll
leaving,
sign your
so-
book for you.
Yeah.
Well, I'll be
maybe
back.
in the spring.
I'll be back. Yeah.
Okay, guys. Well,
Aw.
Elizabeth, Beth, E.C. Rammel, thank you so much for being our guest
Yeah.
today. You're the author of
welcome.
Dream for the Dead. You guys check it out. We have all the links in the summary. Make sure you follow her, support her bookshop. What's the name of your bookshop, Beth?
Meeting Street
Meeting
Books and
Street.
Cafe.
And it's located in
And it is-
Tennessee.
Adorable.
And it's on
Yes.
Facebook and Instagram. EC Rammel is my handle on both as well. So I'm pretty easy to find.
Yes.
Pretty easy.
Aw.
But
Aw,
I'm so
I'm so
excited.
flattered that you had me on here. I really am.
Oh, this was so much
I really
fun.
appreciate your time.
I can't wait to meet you in person. We're totally gonna plan
I
this.
know.
Some
Yes,
point
I'm
next
telling
year.
you. That, or maybe I'll convince Beth to come to New York with me.
Sounds like
Right?
a girl's trip.
Sounds like
I
a
love
great
girls'
girls trip. There you
That's
go.
where some
Me
of my
too.
tattoos come from. You can
Uh-oh.
Oh my God. Don't even go there. Priya was just talking to me about that. She found a book and tattoo place in New York. She's like, you gotta come.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Part of
All
the
right,
girls'
guys.
trip. See?
All right.
I love
Make
it.
sure you-
Oh,
make
Beth,
sure-
thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much,
Beth.
girl.
Everyone listening, make sure you like, share, follow, subscribe. Make sure to hit that subscribe and like button so you can continue to support us and all the amazing artists that we have on our podcast. Bye, guys.
Bye, you guys. Bye, Beth. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.